the decision of the people of Kashmir in an election, the first big election that has been held, in fact the first election since the abrogation of Article 370. So first let's tell you the backdrop of these results. This is a test for the Gupkar Alliance and they seem to have done well. Gupkar Alliance, remember, announced it will field joint candidates. Now, I'm not getting into the results because you all know by now what the result is. In fact, results are still trickling in. But why is this a test for this alliance in the future? Remember, not just now. They've done well now. But what about the future? Gupkar Alliance announced it will field joint candidates, remember. The list of their unanimous candidates were issued for the initial rounds. Here are the fault lines that we are talking about. Then there was a tussle over seat sharing, which led to a very short-lived bonhomie. The release of these unanimous lists stopped in the rest of the rounds, and Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti did not even campaign, not just for their own candidates, but not for each other's candidates also. They did not go step out and campaign. Even then they won. So this is a test of this Gupkar Alliance in the future. Point number 2. There was action against the Abdullahs. Is this going to be an increased tectonic pressure that is going to be felt between the Abdullahs or the members of the Gupkar Alliance and the centre? Farooq Abdullah is in fact being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. Money laundering allegations linked to the Jammu and Kashmir Cricket Association. The agency has attached Abdullah's properties, including 2 houses in Srinagar and the Jammu region. And you juxtapose this with the Bharatiya Janata Party's overdrive, campaigning overdrive in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The BJP sent central leaders, including union ministers, to campaign, making Anurag Thakur the chief of this entire enterprise. He is camping in Jammu and Kashmir. There was Anurag Thakur and Shehnawaz Hussain who have been given the task, going round and round campaigning. So on one hand you have no campaign and agencies, Enforcement Directorate behind certain political leaders, and on the other hand you've got, many people would say, an undue advantage to a political dispensation where they're going about campaigning. But the point is that even the BJP, you look at the performance. Let's quickly put up the numbers on the screen. So this is the first election in J&K since the special status was scrapped. This is the votes in fact are being counted for 280 seats, 14 in each of the 20 districts. Polling was held in 8 phases. And there is a big lead for Farooq Abdullah-led Gupkar Alliance. Those latest numbers on your screen right now, where the alliance of the NCP and the PDP and 5 others, let's quickly see what the numbers are because these numbers are also updating. So you've got the Gupkar Alliance at 115, these are leads. The BJP is at 70. So according to them, they've done well, largely in the Jammu region. But if you put the Gupkar Alliance and Congress together, they're comfortable. Now, is this a referendum on the decision that was taken to abrogate Article 370? Because that's exactly what Omar Abdullah seems to be saying. Let's listen in to what Omar Abdullah had to say in this exclusive.
Shame on the BJP. This is the same BJP who yesterday used the police to detain more than 80 political workers belonging to the People's Alliance. And these are numbers from the J&K police, not my own. This is the same BJP that has used its agencies during the campaign period to mount a vicious campaign against the leaders of the People's Alliance. This is the same BJP that was this is the same BJP that was calling the National Conference and the PDP undemocratic parties. Now suddenly these people are saying this is a victory for democracy. Where was democracy on the 5th of August? Where was democracy when you used our campaigning and getting people to vote as the reason to slap PSA detention on us? Now suddenly this is a victory against Pakistan. But you were calling us Pakistani all this while. Nobody forgets the sort of vicious and unnecessary campaign that you launched. So don't make this about a victory of democracy, because if you really want democracy to win, then you have to accept the verdict of the people.
All right, Tanveer Sadiq, spokesperson of the National Conference, is now with us. Tanveer Sadiq, how exactly should these results be read? Because you see a BJP which is also leading on 70. They are celebrating this as a victory for democracy.
Well, first of all, Sanket, there's one thing important that we all need to understand is that out of 20 districts that went to poll, 13 districts, we will make our chairmen in almost 13, 14 districts. BJP will only go for another 5 districts, and 2 is still undecided. So how could it be a victory for BJP? Now, like Mr. Abdullah said, if you really want this to be a win-win situation for democracy, then you need to understand what the people want. Because we were not the ones who were going around and shouting from the rooftops, talking about that this is a referendum about what happened last year on August 5. But it was BJP. Now, if the people, the people have demolished the narrative that Kashmiris were happy post-August 5 with the BJP. The PAGD chose the path of democracy to convey a message and disapproval to what happened on August 5, and people overwhelmingly stamped that stand. What more do you need? This is the voice of the people. The sooner they understand, the better it is for the BJP to understand that people are not, and people were never in support of what they did on August 5 last year.
No, while the BJP calls this a victory of democracy, which is the way they are trying to explain their 70, why do you think that this is, in a sense, the people's message against the decision that was taken on the 5th of August?
First of all, BJP is number 2. Even if you see if you even dissect the whole PAGD, the National Conference is at number 1. So the PAGD came into being with an agenda in their mind, and elections were not a part of what the Gupkar Declaration stood for. But when elections were put, a lot of people thought that we will boycott. We had an option of boycotting. We did not. We decided to go towards the path of democracy. And like I said earlier, we chose the path of democracy, and this is the way we fought it. And we fought because people wanted that whatever happened on August 5 was wrong.
Well,
now, if BJP is claiming that it's a victory of democracy, then it's a victory of democracy for the PAGD, which wants a certain thing.
But it'll be very interesting to see, Tanvir Sadiq, before I leave, I just want to say it'll be very interesting to see whether you can keep this Mahagathbandhan of sorts together, because already there is a lot of murmurs of discontent within this new alliance that you have created. Tanvir Sadiq, many thanks for joining us on this broadcast.